For this assignment, you will be listening to 2 readings on the fall of the Qin Dynasty in ancient China. For the assignment that goes along with the reading, you will be creating a one-pager describing how the Qin Dynasty fell and why, and what actions were taken by those who overthrew them. You can find the directions for the one-pager on Unified Classrooms under Avid Tools. In our first document, we will be taking a look at a textbook article on the fall of the Qin Dynasty. This is a secondary source. It was written in 2001. Qin Shi Huangdi imposed a new order on China. He ended the power of local lords by taking land from many of them and imposing a tax on landowners. He appointed educated men instead of nobles as officials to run his government. Qin even imposed censorship, clamping down on scholars who discussed books and ideas. In 213 BC, he ordered all books burned except those about practical subjects like agriculture, medicine, and magic. In this way, he hoped to break people's ties to the past so that they would not criticize the present. About 460 scholars resisted and were executed. Again, remember, censorship is the suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, news, etc., that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. So because these scholars refused to listen to his order to burn the books, they were executed by the government. Qin's subjects saw him as a cruel tyrant who had lost the mandate of heaven. Nobles were angry because he had destroyed the aristocracy. Scholars detested him for the burning of books, and peasants hated his forced labor gangs. In 210 BC, Qin died, and soon the dynasty itself came to an end. Even so, the rule of the Qin established foundations for the Chinese state that would last 2,000 years. In 207 BC, Liu Bang overthrew the Qin. A military official from a peasant background, Liu defeated his most powerful rival in 202 BC and declared himself the emperor of a new dynasty, the Han. The Han governed China until AD 220, more than 400 years. The Han emperors used Qin forms of centralized power, but without the harshness of Qin rule. So because the Qin dynasty did not take care of their subjects and made them unhappy, they lost the mandate of heaven and were overthrown by Liu Bang and his people. The Han dynasty did not use forced labor gangs or slavery like the Qin did, and they did not force the people to honor censorship they did not believe in. Therefore, they made the people happier than the Qin dynasty had made them. Now that we have some background knowledge on why the Qin dynasty lost the mandate of heaven, let's take a look at a primary source from a man named Jia Yi called The Fault of the Qin. Jia Yi was a Confucian poet and statesman of the Han dynasty who lived from approximately 200 to 168 BCE. Below are excerpts from his essay on the faults of the Qin. So we will be taking a look at the issues that led to the fall of the Qin dynasty. Chen Shi was a man who grew up in humble circumstances and was a mere hired field hand and roving conscript of mediocre talent. Yet, even stumbling as he did amidst the ranks of common soldiers and shuffling through the fields, he called forth a tired motley crowd and led a mob of several hundred to turn upon the Qin. They had the whole world come to them like gathering clouds. These men of courage from the east rose together, and in the end they defeated and extinguished the house of Qin. This shows us that farmers were able to come together with very little resources to overthrow the Qin because they were very unhappy with how they were being treated. Chen Shi's weapons, made of farm implements and thorny tree branches, were no match in battle against spears and halberds. His roving conscripts in no way compared to the armies of the 9 states. Qin, from a tiny base, had become a great power, ruling the land and receiving homage from all quarters for 100-odd years. Yet a single common person could nevertheless challenge this empire and cause its ancestral temples to topple, and its ruler to die at the hands of others, a laughingstock in the eyes of all. Why? Because the ruler lacked humaneness and rightness. because preserving power differs fundamentally from seizing power. So basically, what happens is because Qin had treated the common people so terribly for so long, they were able to rise up together no matter what their weapons were made out of. Qin's had actual weapons, whereas Chenxi had tree branches, but they had a better reason to fight, which is why they were able to topple the Qin dynasty that had been in power for 100 something years.